up, guys? Wes Pruitt, 4-Star Sports Media. Got John Starkey in the house as well. Got a jam-packed show for you today. Doesn't get much more jam-packed than it is today. We'll get started up right here shortly. John, how you doing, man?
Man, this weekend flew by.
It did. All right, man, so let's get started. Burning question of the show. We got one burning question, two polls as normal. Burning question is this. How many winning seasons in the SEC does Mississippi State have in the last 24 seasons? May take a little bit of digging to figure that one out. But how many winning seasons in the Southeastern Conference does Mississippi State have? Poll question number one, John. Poll question number one is who will have a better season, Jim Schwarzenegger or Michael Early? Of course, we know we talked about it last week. Jim Schwarzenegger is now at A&M, or Texas. Michael Early is now at A&M. Poll question number two. These are posted at all of our social media pages as well. Who will have a better first season as a head coach? Bob Chesney from James Madison, Jeff Levy down at Starkville, Mississippi State, Deshaun Foster over at UCLA, or Sharon Moore over at Michigan. This is going to be a very interesting thing to keep an eye on. I'm thinking everybody watching and listening right now. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We got Anthony Sain coming on here just in a few minutes to talk Memphis Grizzlies. Also talk a little bit of Memphis Tigers as well. Anthony does an incredible job, Grind City Media. If you don't know who Anthony Sain is, you need to figure out. The guy does incredible work. He keeps it real. That's one thing I do. I really like about John. He's going to tell you how it is. He don't care if it pisses you off or not. I respect that. But yeah, Anthony Sain's going to be joining us here momentarily. So John, before we get Anthony on, man, let's just quickly recap what happened last week during the NBA draft, where the Memphis Grizzlies would select. Well, they had a big hole to fill, and they filled it with the big man Zach Edey. John, I mean, that's going to be the first question for Anthony. I'm sure, and I know Anthony here's back now. But, man, what's your thoughts on Zach Edey just before we get in?
The pick is slowly growing on me. Just because, like you brought up, we do need a big man, and I think that was the best big man available. So why not address Zach Edey, to be honest with you, because he is a two-time player of the year or whatever. So basically, that pick is kind of growing on me just because of that. And he didn't average a double-double for nothing. I think the only thing that really concerns me is the pace of offense that the Grizzlies run. How's he going to be catching up? Like me and you talked about yesterday, I think it's going to take him some time, yes, but eventually he'll catch on pretty quick.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man, let's get Anthony on here, and I'll keep myself out. Hang on.
What's going on?
Anthony's doing this. Anthony, can you hear me?
Yeah, man, I can hear you.
How's it going, Anthony?
Man, I'm good, brother. How you doing, John?
Good, man. Keep up the good work on your show, man.
Man, appreciate you, bro. Glad you invited me on. We've been talking about doing this for a while, man. I decided to go ahead and pop up on y'all. It's a good time to pop up, you know.
Man, Anthony Sain joins the show. And if there's anything I do know about Anthony, is that he's going to tell you about the Memphis Grizzlies. He's going to tell you how it is from an honest journalistic opinion. And I thoroughly enjoy that because you don't find a lot of true honesty in journalism these days. You find a lot of biasness. You find a lot of swerving it one way or the other to appease to the fan base. But you don't seem to do that, Anthony. You seem to tell it how it is.
No, Wes, I really don't give a damn. I ain't gonna lie to you. You pretty much got me summed up pretty good. You got me summed up pretty good. And I'm not a journalist, by the way. I'm not a journalist. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just honest reporting, I guess, in the term.
Yeah.
So Anthony, you just heard it, man. We talked a little bit about Zach Edey. I feel like it's a perfect fit. You find a guy who can run the floor. He averaged 37 minutes a game during the NCAA tournament. averaged over 20 points a game, multiple rebounds as well. So give us your initial thoughts on Zach Edey.
Oh man, if you follow my Twitter, you know I'm extremely excited about the Zach Edey pick. I don't see how anybody can be reluctant, skeptical, all these type of things, and so many of the things that people are saying, the knocks, the concerns, are just so wild. When I just look at it, man, like I'm hearing even you guys saying people worried about can he run the floor in our style of offense. He doesn't have to. Like, what big man can run the floor in our style of offense? I mean, nobody can. Like, there's not many fast bigs in the NBA. Like, and the ones that are, they're elite level players. You know what I mean? And we don't need him to be that. Because Steven Adams run with our offense. Because Jonas Valanciunas run with our offense. These are two slow, lumbering guys who are probably less mobile than Zach Edey is. And those are just things that come with being a big man. But one of our team's weaknesses is half court offense, and I think and rebounding. And I think he's a guy who will come in and immediately help with those type of things. He's going to be the first big we've had since Jonas Valanciunas that we can actually give the ball to in a pinch when we're slow and when the game's getting slowed down. You can give the ball to, he can score probably on even a higher level than Jonas Valanciunas. You're talking about a guy who was a 2-time National Player of the Year in college. He was a 4-year guy. He's not a kid we're bringing in. He's as old as the guys that are in our core right now. He's the same age as Zaire Williams, same age as Jake LaRavia. He's a year younger than Vince Williams, a year younger than Santi Aldama, 2 years older than John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., and 3 years younger than Desmond Bane. He's coming in as a rookie. Being concerned about how he can fit in or if he's going to be ready or the game overwhelming him and all these type of things, I'm not worried about any of that at all. You're talking about one of the most physical forces we've seen in college basketball in decades. You know what I mean? So I'm not concerned about him being able to catch on. And I talked about on Twitter this morning how a guy like Derek Lively, who was a true freshman, 18 years old, 5 points, 5 rebounds in college, went on to be a key contributor for a Dallas Mavericks team. There's nothing about Zach Edey that makes me wonder, can he catch on to the NBA? And can he play the role we need him to play? We're not asking him to be our best player. We're not asking him to be our second best player. We're not asking him to be our third best player. We're not asking him to be our fourth best player. He'll be the 5th guy in our starting lineup. And I'm sure, if anything, Zach Edey can get rebounds, set screens, and play good defense, and score in a pinch when we need him to. And I think we're just really overthinking this, and we're really just victims of a lot of groupthink, a lot of weird narratives that have been all over the internet. And then you have people saying, well, we could have got this guy later in the draft. These same people who said you could have got Zach Edey later in the draft are the same people that said Ron Holland and Rob Dillingham would get picked outside the lottery, and Dalton Connect could go as high as 5. Like, these are the same people who make these same predictions, and they don't know. They're not NBA GMs. And I think when it's all said and done, Zach Edey is going to be a tremendous addition to this Grizzlies team.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Anthony, talk about the Grizzlies for like one more moment with me real quick, if you don't mind. What do we do from here in free agency, you think? And do you think we get like a backup point guard behind Ja, or what do you think we end up doing?
Nah, they don't. We got to think in terms of reality, man. Like, we didn't get Marcus Smart here to be a guy that's on the bench waving a towel. You know what I mean? We have Marcus Smart going to play a lot of roles for this team, and one of those roles will be backing up John Morant at point guard. He's also going to be probably starting guarding guys, the best perimeter player on another team, whether that's the point guard, the shooting guard, or the small forward. If Marcus Smart, if we still have to bring another guy in to be the backup point guard, we don't need Marcus Smart on this team at all. They're not going to bring a guy in to do that at all. And I don't want to sound frustrated, but we just have to think in real life. Like, they brought Marcus Smart in here to do a lot of things, you know what I mean? And he's going to be a big time player. Like, I had a conversation with a guy yesterday. He said, man, it just seems like the Grizzlies are missing a vet playoff guy, like a Bruce Brown, or, just a guy who can, or a Contavious Caldwell Pope, these guys who just have playoff experience. I'm like, bro, did Marcus Smart die? Like, what did I miss, bro? Like, what did I miss, bro? Like, what did I miss? Like, we literally have Marcus Smart on this team, and we saw him for about 15 games last year, and he was not in shape, and he was hurt. You know what I mean? I think the version of Marcus Smart we see this year will surprise a lot of fans, not just with the Grizzlies, but in the entire NBA. The team and people are talking about we haven't done anything. This version of the Grizzlies that we're about to see, even if they don't do a single thing but bring Luke Kennard back, it's going to be a totally different team than what we would have saw coming into last season, and especially 2 years ago. So to say we haven't done anything is wild. The development of guys like Vince and Gigi are going to be incredible. I think we're fine at every position. Could we get a veteran wing, maybe another very low maintenance backup center to kind of give things a change of pace? Maybe, but I'm not stressing about any of that stuff, to be honest with you.
part of that free agency question, then do you think we bring back Luke Kennard?
Yeah, I think that's 100% happening. They'll bring back Luke, and free agency will pretty much be over for us. We might have a guy we can sign at the vet minimum, but the more I think about it, bringing Luke back, especially with a guy like Edie, right? When you've got Edie on your team, who's going to demand so much, you can't. In years past, you could kind of roll off of guys like Steven Adams and really have to pay much attention to him offensively. Zach Edey is going to make you pay attention to him offensively, whether they're going to him or not. If he comes up for a screen, a guy's going to have to stick to him because he's 7'5", bro. He's a lob threat just for being 7'5". So there's so many things that he can do that I think a guy like Luke Kennard can really excel in this type of offense, even if you have him on the court with guys who aren't playmakers like Ja Morant. Because if you got Luke out there, you kind of got to circumvent him with guys that can defend. So playing him exactly a lot of minutes with Ja may not be ideal a lot, but I still think that Luke's there. You're talking about one of the best shooters in the league, so they'll find a way to make that work.
100%. Anthony Sain joins us today from Grind City Media. They're in Memphis, Tennessee.
Love City.
I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah. Love City Media. My bad.
I will take a Grind City Media paycheck if they want to send me a check. Especially what Gary and them making. They want to send me that money. Hey. You can get it wrong as many times as you want.
But
I get a cool little check from Bluff City Media, but it ain't Gary Perry's money. It ain't Chris Vernon money at all.
But Gary, sorry, not Gary. Anthony Sain is joining us today. Anthony, I got a question for you, man. I saw a little bit of. I'm a wrestling fan, so I'll call.
Y'all in the same room? Y'all in the same room?
No.
Go ahead, bro. My bad, bro. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're good. No, I'm in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Johnson, Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay. I didn't even know you could do that on stream, right? You can talk from the background on this show?
Oh, yep.
My bad, bro. I'm ruining y'all show. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No, you ain't ruining nothing, man.
How are you doing it, though? Like, how are you talking from the background? Anyway, we'll talk later about that. Go ahead, bro.
You're good. So I noticed you talked a little bit of Memphis Heat recently by using one term that I 100% agree with you, and that's mid-major. You said that Memphis basketball was a mid-major school, and that's 100%.
By every definition of the word, yes.
Yes, and I just want to come on here, man. I just want to give you kudos because that's something that not a lot of people, quote unquote, media people in Memphis would say. A lot of people like to kind of skirt around that term. I don't. I think you're 1,000% correct. And anyone out there who disagrees with you is just going through life with blinders on.
Yeah, they're just kind of speaking out of their emotions, and that's cool. I get all that. Like I said, I'm 45 years old. 45 years old this year, man. Been a Tiger basketball fan as far back as I can remember. Elliot Perry was my freaking hero growing up as a kid. So I think I'm able to speak on Tiger basketball history, right? Like I lived through a lot more of it than people that are talking about it. Because I got people like Brian Bumgarner, who's like 29, telling me about Tiger basketball history. Like, bro, I actually saw that stuff as it happened. You know what I mean? Like, I need you to tell me about Tiger basketball history through the decades when you remember like two of them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need you to tell me about Tiger basketball history. Like, but anyway, I just think that the whole mid-major thing, I think it's a clear line of who's high major and who's mid-major, right? But I think that mid-major teams can break through into that high major category, like the Gonzagas of the world. You know what I mean? Like VCU at one time, like Memphis at one time. You know what I mean? I think there's something that has an expiration date. I don't think there's something that's permanent. I don't think once you're a high major, you're always a high major. I haven't heard anybody saying that UNLV is a high major. They were a whole national champion back in the early 90s, right? And were undefeated the year that they didn't win the second one back to back, right? But nobody's going around talking about UNLV as some type of high major program. It's an expiration date on it. And when Mark Few leaves Gonzaga, it's a high chance they're going to fall out of it too. You know what I mean? But I do think that a mid-major team can break that threshold, but it's not permanent. It's not something that's I think it's based on your recent success. And as a Tiger fan who's also a realist, and I don't really get too emotional when it comes down to Tiger basketball takes, it's okay to say that we're a team that in the past 15 years that we've pretty much been around I guess around the top of the conferences we've been in. We've had a couple conference championship wins, a couple, regular season wins, whatever, but we haven't dominated these conferences. There's nothing that really separates us from the teams that we're in the same tier, the same echelon with. we didn't do what Houston did. You know what I mean? Where we're a team who's perennially finishing in the top 5 in the nation. These type of things. I mean, we're fine. I mean, but we're not. We haven't done anything that really separates us, from those other teams. Can that change? Sure, we can go on a run of years that can get us back in those type of conversations where Memphis is looked at as a high major program. But at this point, man, I just think it's a silly conversation to act like Memphis is a high major program. We just have not performed on that level. And then something else that I know I say that ticks people off too is that outside of a coaching anomaly in John Calipari, our recent history, even in the last 25 years, is mid. Like it's mid-major. We had a coaching anomaly. And that's the thing about it, bro. I call John Calipari a coaching anomaly because you had a high-level coach who recruits on a crazy level, who puts your program in the limelight. He did that for a 8-year run, if I'm not mistaken, right? You have a guy in Penny Hardaway who has the same capabilities. And once he figures some shit out, that could be the very same type of coaching anomaly. The type of guy who can come here. Because in a typical situation, if a guy is good enough to make Memphis good, he's not going to be here long. Somebody's going to come get that guy and he's gone. But a guy like Penny Hardaway is not going anywhere. So that would be what you call another coaching anomaly, right? Where you have a guy who's good. He's good enough to promote the program at a high level, to recruit at a high level, all those type of things. And he's going to be here for a 6, 7, 8-year run. We have the potential in a guy like Penny Hardaway to be that guy. And our fans are like trying to boot this dude out of here. And I'm like, dude, that's the type of guy that could, and once he figures some shit out, it'll be fine. Now, does Penny have, some things he has to tinker with and figure out? Yes, he does. But I think once he gets those things done, and I'm confident he will get those things done, I think everything will be fine.
Man, what an answer. John, that gone. Look, man, I definitely want to get you back on Grizzlies season, Tiger basketball season as well. Because, I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm almost 40 years old. John's about 40, so we're in the same ballpark. We've been watching Memphis basketball. A lot of people don't even know who Tick Price or Johnny Jones is, but man, Anthony, you were a just vessel of knowledge. You got so much just off the top of your head knowledge. It's very impressive.
Yeah, talking about me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Old ass man, bro. My old ass man. Yeah.
I love it, man.
What's going on top of y'all cats do, man? Y'all let it go in that joint, man. It's all good though.
Yeah, man. No, Anthony Sain has joined us today, man. Anthony does an incredible job. Anthony, now's your chance to promote yourself, man. How do we follow you? How do we watch you? How do we listen to you?
Yeah, man. Check me out, Anthony Sain Show, every Wednesday, every Friday on Bluff City Media. Not Grind City, but if Grind City Media wants to throw me a check, I'll definitely take that. Give me Gary Parrish a check. Just give me one of them bad boys. I'll be set for the rest of the year. I ain't gonna lie to you. Check me out doing that. I'd also do the Sain Asylum podcast, which is something I do on my own. It might be sports. It may not be. Just whatever I'm feeling at the moment, man. I don't really have a schedule for those, except for every Sunday at some time, I'm going to do one with my friends. I do that with an ensemble cast on Sunday. But other than that, it's just something I do sporadically. It might be me and my kid. It might be just me by myself talking about something that happened today in sports. So check that out as well. Yeah. But that's all. Also, you'll see me, like you mentioned, 901 Wrestling, man.
Yeah.
I'm a commentator there along with Kevin Cerrito. Our next show is July the 6th at Black Lodge, 7 p.m. 901wrestling.com. Go check it out. Local wrestling, man, the way it's supposed to be, man. Memphis wrestling with Memphis stars, in the ring, homegrown guys here in the city of Memphis, man. Check it out. 901wrestling.com. The next show is July the 6th.
Anthony, before you get out of here, I got a question regarding wrestling real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk about Triple H for a moment, if you don't mind. Just talk about
he doing his thing, bro. Like he's like for real. Like I'm looking at this Bloodline saga, man. I'm like, man, this is the best story ever told in wrestling, bro. This has been going on for like 4 years. You know what I mean? Like this is like we saw the NWO run its course, and we saw the Four Horsemen kind of run for a long time.
Yeah.
We saw DX and all these type of things, but this Bloodline thing, man, it just feels like it has years left to it before it goes stale, bro. And it's wild, bro. Like and Triple H, he understands the power of old school wrestling when you can have a heel who's a heel champion for years and carries your championship, carries your company. You know what I mean? And when he did that with Roman Reigns, and how to use a babyface and letting the babyface lose and have to come back a whole another year later in Cody Rhodes before he wins the championship. I just think he's he just really understands the game, and he's taking wrestling back to the old school. You got the stables and factions and all those type of things, man. And I just love what he's doing. He's got factions now where it's intergender, where he's got guys and girls in stables together. I just think he's doing some amazing stuff that's really working. And the WWE product right now is better than it's been in a long time. And now you got The Rock, he's got hands on things. They're getting ready to go to Netflix, and yeah, it's crazy, bro. Like, shout out to Triple H for sure.
Yeah, Netflix is going to be uncensored, and I cannot wait. It's going to bring back Attitude Era times plus pay-per-view. Oh, man. I mean, WWE is on fire right now. The Uncle Howdy storyline is beautiful. And if anyone does not fully understand how vital Paul Heyman has been this entire bloodline storyline, you're not paying attention to wrestling.
Oh, yeah, he was so good the other night when they threw him through the like he sold everything. He grew his beard out. His eyes were bloodshot. He was looking crazy, man. Looked like he showered in a couple of days. Like, he was looking stressed out. You know what I mean? Like, he really sold it.
He hadn't slept overnight, but I think he went back and hung out with Cat Williams or Snoop Dogg before he got there. That man's eyes were bloodshot.
Facts. Yeah, man.
All right, man. Anthony Sain, we appreciate you, brother. We'll get you back on for sure. Grizzlies, Tigers, whatever, Memphis. If it's a Memphis sport, not only wrestling, we got you on talk wrestling too, man. We appreciate you carving out roughly 20 minutes of your day for us, man.
Man, appreciate you, bro.
Anthony Sain came on and knocked it out of the park, John. Up next, man, I'll tell you what, John, let's quickly go over NASCAR, and then we'll get to our college football talk. So NASCAR was in Nashville Super Speedway over the weekend. Saw a very exciting race Friday night in the trucks. Saw a great race Saturday. And then yesterday we saw a race that I was starting to think wasn't going to end. And that was the Ally 400 yesterday. And, John, it went to not one, not two, not three, but 4 overtimes yesterday. And Joey Logano would finally win his 33rd victory in NASCAR in 562 races. It's his first victory and 6th top 10 of 2024. It's also his first victory and 3rd top 10 in 4 races over at Nashville Super Speedway. We would see Zane Smith, who finished 2nd in the race, post his first top 10 in his first race ever at Nashville Super Speedway. It's his first top 10 in 2024. Tyler Reddick would finish 3rd, posting his first top 10 in 4 races at Nashville Super Speedway. Zane Smith, the aforementioned Zane Smith, was also the highest finishing rookie in the race. But at the end of the race, Kyle Larson still holds the point lead by 20 points over Chase Elliott. And now they're heading to Chicago for a Chicago street race that's literally downtown. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, the whole race yesterday was kind of interesting, like you just brought up, because I think a lot of people were angry at each other once again, by wrecking. And it's pretty interesting to see how also the rain came in factor just a little bit for a lot of drivers because and the heat, I might add too, because it did probably feel like 130 degrees in that car as well. Yeah. And credit to Bubba Wallace for finishing a top 10 race once again as well.
Yeah, Bubba had a great race yesterday as well. And I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll get more into it this week. We'll talk a little bit more about it probably on Thursday before we close the week out. But man, yeah, they're heading to Chicago. It's going to be a lot of fun as they head over to Chicago. All right, John, let's get into it, man. Let me get my little notepad out here. Hang on one second. All right, man. Let's get into it. Let's talk a little Conference USA football. Turn my camera back on here, right? Let's talk a little CUSA, man. It's a conference that is very exciting to me. There's a lot of talented teams, a lot of talented coaches as well in the conference. But John, when you look at this conference, it's got 10 teams in it, one of which is brand new. That's Kennesaw State. They'll make their first Division I football season. You got coaches, very, very interesting. There's a lot of really talented coaches in this conference. But John, as we start, What's your initial thoughts on CUSA being another conference as part of this whole realignment?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting per se because you see a lot of people that have entered the portal in the off season, and they're joining the Conference USA schools, whatnot this year as well, because somebody's not happy with their situation. Of course, they're going to enter the portal, but you see a lot of kids actually enter the portal, go to Conference USA this year, and it's going to be interesting because, like you just brought up, the coaches in this conference are pretty good. You got veterans on that league, and you also don't forget you got Missouri State coming in next year as a member as well. So that'll be pretty interesting as well regarding Conference USA. But just talk about some of the favorites right now are Liberty, Western Kentucky, and others. And right now, it's going to be up for grabs, I think, in this conference this year, where anybody can beat anybody on a given weekend.
No doubt. So, John, let's give me a favorite or someone that to not sleep on and a disappointment. You go first.
All right, my first one will be my surprise. Just the way they were not. I mean, last year they did finish the year 8-5, but they still, they returned 9 offensive starters this year on offense. So I'm going to go with the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. They opened the season at Alabama. In years past, you saw a Western Kentucky team go to Alabama, whatnot, and kind of surprise some people a little bit in the first half, but Alabama just tore it up in the second half due to depth and whatnot. But Western Kentucky returning 9 offensive starters, 5 defensive starters, but they could very well compete for this Conference USA championship this year just because they have a good coach in Tyson Helton, who played quarterback at Houston back in the day. But as much as I do, West Kentucky has always had good quarterback play year in, year out. So that's one reason I think West Kentucky could surprise some people because most of their games in the league are pretty much tough, or pretty much, there's some of them are on the road, but most of the important ones are at home. And I think West Kentucky can just definitely show out at home, and where that game at Liberty could decide if that number 1 spot on November 23rd as my surprise. And then my disappointment, I'm going to go with the team, and I think New Mexico State might fall off just a little bit. A lot of people are saying New Mexico State are going to be falling off just because due to their depth and their starting returners back. So New Mexico State returns 5 offensive starters back, 3 defensive starters back, and to be honest with you, their schedule is just brutal. Non-conference at Fresno State, at Texas A&M. So it's going to be tough, because New Mexico State used to be they finished the year 10-5 last year. And I think this year it's going to be hard to find them winning 4 or 5 games, to be honest with you, just because their schedule's so tough.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. My surprise, and I think this team wins the entire conference. Give me Jacksonville State and Rich Rodriguez, 9-4 last year on the season. His 3rd year there at down in Jacksonville State. 5 returners on offense, 4 returners on defense. He's 9-4 as a head coach in Memphis. Overall, at 127-87. We know he can recruit. We know he can coach the quarterback. We know he's offensively very, very, very smart, very outside the box. But you go look at you go look at the schedule. You start out with Coastal Carolina. They don't have a quarterback. We'll talk about where he's at next. Then at Louisville, at Eastern Michigan, come home and play a struggling Southern Miss team for homecoming in week 4, which is weird to have homecoming. You got a bye week. Go to brand new Kennesaw State. New Mexico State, team you just talked about, has a bye week just before playing Jacksonville State. But let's look at how this team is going to finish the year. At MTSU, on the road, you play at MTSU on a Wednesday night. turn around and play at Liberty the following Wednesday night. Then you go to Louisiana Tech, a team I'm getting ready to talk about in just a second. FIU has a bye before you play. And then you host FIU, host Sam Houston, go to the team you were just talking about, Western Kentucky, to end the season. I think that Western Kentucky Jacksonville State game could end up having more implications than the one you talked about, which is Liberty and Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State's going to be my surprise. My disappointment this year is going to be Louisiana. 3-9 last year. Really struggled last year under Sonny Crumby. It's his third year down at Tech. Not real good, John. Not real good. This team's struggling. When you look at their schedule, it's not the easiest schedule. It's not the hardest schedule. They play at NC State. They play Nichols. God, you would hope they could beat Nichols. But yeah, I mean, it's been jam packed. It's been jam packed. John, let's jump over to the ACC real quick. Got Alan Cross coming on here in just a few minutes too. Former Memphis Tiger, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, now a member of the Bartlett High School football staff there in Bartlett, Tennessee. He's got a very big camp coming up here soon, so we'll get him on to talk all about that camp. So, John, let's go to the ACC, man. 16 teams, as we saw SMU, Cal, Stanford all come over. We'll say that again. SMU, Cal, and Stanford are now in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Does that make sense, right? Geographically, it means nothing anymore.
Right.
We see the Big Ten's going coast to coast. But John, let's go ahead and get into it, man. One topic I do want to bring up in this conference is quarterbacks. I went through last night, did a little research. Mm-hmm. Out of the 16 teams, there is only 6 teams that are not bringing in a quarterback through the transfer. One of which is the team I think is going to be one of my surprises. I think Clemson. It goes back to the top. I think Clemson goes back to the top. My only question mark for Clemson is you've got Klubnik, and you've really got no one else behind him. You've got a true freshman quarterback behind him. He's talented, but we know what the ACC brings defensively. We know what other offenses can do around the country as well. And then my other one is Miami. Miami's going to be my surprise, my major surprise. Bring in Cam Ward from Washington State. You know what Cam did at Washington State. Very talented quarterback. I love the head coach, former Oregon head coach, Mario Cristobal. Big fan of him. I think he gets Miami turned around. Started seeing it a little bit toward the end of the season last year. A little bit of growth for this program and a lot better play. But, John, let me go ahead and give you my disappointment. My disappointment is going to be Duke. I've got Duke finishing dead last. New coach, new quarterback. They bring over Malik Murphy. I don't think even Malik Murphy may put this team up at the top. But, John, go ahead and give me your surprise and your disappointment.
Well, you talk about Miami for like one quick second. The real question is Mario Cristobal going to do better than 7-6? Is he going to win games like he's supposed to? Is he not going to lose a 30-point lead like he did a couple of years ago? Is he going to take a nil down when he's supposed to also and let the clock run out? You know, that type of stuff.
Yep.
But the interesting game, in my opinion, non-conference, well, there's actually 2 of them. The opening season at Florida is going to be an exciting non-conference game right off the bat. 2:30 Central Time on ABC. Right after that Georgia Clemson game, I think the Miami Florida game is going to be shooting some fireworks early in that game as well, because you can very well see maybe like a high-scoring game right off the bat, because you don't know what team from Florida is going to show up or what team from Miami is going to show up. But the game at South Florida stands out to me for Mario Cristobal. He always seems to be struggling against a non-conference team that he's not supposed to. And I think the at South Florida game in Raymond James Stadium, where South Florida plays their home games, Let's just give that's a key non-conference game for Mario Cristobal. A lot of people are saying this season right here, his job is in jeopardy. And I really think regarding the Miami Hurricanes, his job is a little bit in jeopardy because, like we brought up, hey, he don't have to go out to the West Coast except for one time, and that's at California. So that game in general, just good thing it's right. You got a bye week right after that. Let's just say that because you guys can rest your bodies, whatnot. But that's an interesting fact regarding Miami. And then you brought up Duke, for example, your disappointment because everything is brand new at Duke this year, as in general. But my sleeper, or not my sleeper, but my favorite this year that might surprise some people is going to be the Louisville Cardinals at Papa John's Stadium.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that, to be honest with you, Louisville Cardinals, to be honest with you, I think could basically win 9 games this year, to be honest with you. I really think, looking back at it at Louisville, they went last year 10-4, so it's not really a surprise.
Right.
But this year they returned 8 starters on offense and 7 on defense.
Yeah.
So that's one reason I'm thinking that's the surprise, not saying other than Louisville, other than Clemson and other than Florida State. I think Louisville can maybe surprise some people. Yeah, that at Notre Dame game might be a little bit tough because at Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman is always the defensive mind against a good powered offense in Louisville. But you got SMU at home, you got Miami at home, and then you got Pittsburgh at home, you got Georgia Tech at home. So when you got those games at home, per se, I think Papa John's Stadium is going to be up there rocking. It's always been a tough place to play at, for one thing, and I think Louisville Cardinals can definitely maybe go back to the ACC title game and play like a Florida State again. And as you saw it last year, Florida State had a little bit of trouble with Louisville in that championship game, but we all know the reason why. But still, Louisville just couldn't score when it mattered most last year, and I think my surprise this year could be Louisville out of ACC. But my disappointment, I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh, man. Like, this ain't the same Pittsburgh team like it used to be with Kenny Pickett back at quarterback and playing at Heinz Field, whatnot in Pittsburgh. It's just that I think Pittsburgh might be this year. General Pittsburgh team is going to be struggling on offense. I think at times where they might be averaging like 3 points a half at first half and only have 3 points at halftime, and then finish the game with like 17 and lose the ball game due to some turnovers. What hurt them last year were the turnover bug for Pittsburgh. So that's my disappointment as in Pittsburgh this year, to be honest with you. I think Pittsburgh might have win 4 games this year instead of like their usual 6 or 7 games like they have in years past.
Interesting. Very interesting. So Louisville and Pittsburgh. Two very interesting teams there. All right, John. He's been waiting in the background long enough. I feel horrible. It's hotter than fish grease outside, so I know he's sweating. Let's get Alan Croft in here, man. Alan, I apologize for that long. I know it's really hot outside. We appreciate you coming on.
Oh man, you good? It ain't too bad, baby. Hey, God gave us the present. We gotta enjoy it. That's why it's called the present.
There it is, man. Alan Croft, former Memphis Tigers star, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, back in coaching again over at Bartlett High School. Very talented program, beautiful facilities there at Bartlett. So, Alan, let's start with that, man. You got a big camp coming up. When's the camp? What's going on? How do you get in? All that.
So it's going to be July 20th at Bartlett High School. The flyers being sent out right now via social media, text message, word of mouth, whatever the case may be. The address, obviously, you can just Google Bartlett High School, but it's on Blackwell Street. It's the back of the school, obviously, where the football fields are. Parking on the home side, that's where you're going to come in and register. Registration is going to be at the table. You sign, everything up right there, school, emergency contact, so on and so forth, right there at it. As soon as you sign up, you get a T-shirt, and we're rocking and rolling. It's going to be from 9 to 11:30, so registration is going to start at 9. Camp's going to start at 10. It's going to be about an hour and a half long camp, give or take, depending on hot and things of that nature. It's K through 8th grade. That's just what we're doing. We're doing it for kids camps. First 50 that show up are free. The rest of it's $20 a head. That's about it, brother.
Hey, that's not bad at all. So, Alan, what types of things will you be teaching at this camp?
So I was thinking about separating really the middle school with the elementary school and kind of just going through some not random drills, but basic, footwork drills, things of that nature with the elementary school kids, K through fifth, and sixth through eighth grade, probably getting more a little advanced when it pertains to, some individual drills or whatever the case may be. We're going to have as many Bartlett coaches there. I'm sure the head coach, Chris Smith, will be there. We're going to have also some kids there to help the running back. G just got Mississippi, just committed to Mississippi State. Austin Howard, going to try to get him around there, just to go ahead and start, bestowing what Coach Smith is, just trying to teach them so they can go ahead and start teaching the young guys.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, we got some breaking news this week that Alan Cross is moving back to Memphis. So, what has Alan Cross been up to other than moving back to Memphis right now as we speak?
Really, when it pertains to my family, I got a 7-month-old girl at the house. She's with my wife's mom right now, her grandma, while we're moving back from Naples, Florida. And we got another one on the way. We're supposed to find out today, actually, if it's a boy or a girl. So we'll see.
And that's incredible. So, what is it about the city of Memphis that just makes it home?
I mean, obviously it is home for me, so it's nothing new to me. Millington's where I'm basically born and raised at, I guess if you want to call it that. But the people that aren't, from around there, I tell them I'm from Memphis. So it's just, it's just the culture. It's just the whole aspect of what it takes to get out the mud. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure everybody's story is a little bit different than everybody when it pertains to what we've been through, aka the mud. What we like to say, but it's just the whole brotherhood and sisterhood and how we're all just a family at the end of the day. I mean, shoot, I walk up in Ching's, you know what I'm saying? Give me a 10-piece honey gold, and I go north and can hang out in Millington and things of that nature. So it's just home. It's just a family. To be honest with you, that's the main thing.
So, Alan, when you look at Bartlett High School, like I said, talented program, a lot of history there. What is your goal as a coach on that staff to bring to that program?
It's really just to keep bestowing, like I said, what Chris Smith, implies. So long story short about him, he played with Mike Norvell at UCA, and he also got coached by him a little bit when he started GA. I'm talking about Mike. So he's just like him when it pertains to the aspect of what it takes to bounce from period to period and just things of that nature. And it's kind of like a college practice. I haven't truly been around it just yet. Just been there a few weeks, and I've already got a taste of it. We're doing inside run and things of that nature, just like we would do if we was on the practice field at a Memphis or just what they're doing down at Florida State. Just use them for an example. And just I can be myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure y'all know some stories about Justin Fuente, about how he got after us. But at the end of the day, that was the foundation to the house they done built now. So, and to answer your question, I know I went a little over, but our goal is to win state. You know what I'm saying? And we have the bullets to do it. We just got to shoot them at the right time.
Go ahead, John.
I know the players are glad to see you back for one thing, back at Bartlett High School, and a lot of even alumni have so highly on you coming back as well. And just spoke like before you came back to Bartlett, you also coached in the JUCO ranks as well. But my question is, like, how do you think Ryan Silverfield and the Memphis program? Let's talk about the Memphis football program as it is today. How do you think it's gone so far under Ryan Silverfield?
I think he's done a good job, just taking what really Mike's taught him when it pertains to how to run a program and things of that nature. Not saying that he already didn't have ideas and stuff like that, but there's definitely somebody to learn up under and kind of just carry what he's done along, just like what we did before he got there. Talking about Mike and Ryan and all them guys, just that nitty gritty, that grit and grind, and that all in aspect of what he says. We used that when Norvell was there, and it makes sense. It's what it takes. It takes all of us, even from the janitor all the way to the head coach, and I think he does a good job when it pertains to that. And he's kind of putting together a good squad in the sense of, I'm not going to say I'm not there, so obviously I really don't know, but it's kind of, as an outsider looking in, he's kind of doing it like a little NFL status. And, I mean, that is what it is, whatever makes the cake, you know what I'm saying, and it makes sense, so. He's using the NIL money that I believe Fred Smith gave him, and I'm, like I said, I'm not there. Just as an outsider talking, that he's doing it the right way.
So, Alan, when you look back at your career, and obviously, you were a walk-on, and fight like a tiger to get your spot, to keep your spot. When you look back on your career as a Memphis Tiger, who are some people and what are some moments that you will forever be in doubt?
Some moments, man. I would have to say, as soon as you said that, playing at the Rose Bowl, getting that opportunity to go over there and compete against guys like Brett Hundley and Miles Jack and Eric Kendricks and all that. I can always tell my kids that I got the chance to play there. Obviously, not in the actual Rose Bowl, but in the stadium. Michael Jackson performed there, so just things like that. The history with that, and obviously beating Ole Miss at our place in my senior year, then 15, and seeing the stadium like that. I feel like that could always be, that type of atmosphere, in my opinion. And I think that's on the way there. But some guys, I mean, old heads, Marcus Rucker, just to name a few guys. He's one that basically popped in my mind because he was a leader when we first was going through it in 2012 and 2011. But he was one that was standing up, still leading, and not complaining about anything, going through the grind. So guys like him, Akeem Davis, Jordan Devey, Ron Leary, Poe, all them guys just kind of laying the foundation. But for guys like me and Bobby's still playing. The guys that came after us, Kenny Gainwell, and all them running backs and things like that. So I'd have to say all that to answer your question.
Awesome. Good.
All right, Alan, I know you're kind of busy, guys. This is my last question for you, whatnot. But
good, bro.
You talked about this. Well, it's a two-part question, real quick. So, talk about what can you tell a kid right now that's going through the recruiting process as you're coming back to Bartlett High School that are going through the recruiting process right now with the NIL and the transfer portal, whatnot, as it's different now than it is when you played, but still you can give them some type of encouragement. What can you tell a kid right now, not only at Bartlett High School, but all over the city of Memphis right now that might be watching our show right now?
I would say you can still find those relationships. Just like I was talking about G and Austin, we took them down to Mississippi State, and Jeff Levy still develops when it pertains to, recruiting high school guys. So there's still coaches out there that want high school guys. It's different now. Twitter is, in my opinion, is a recruiting app. I mean, obviously social media is what you use it as, but college coaches are using that as a recruiting app. So I would say definitely reach out to as many coaches as you can via Twitter, social media, whatever the case may be, and bug them, because eventually you're going to find that relationship when it pertains to a college coach that still wants to develop a high school kid. They're still out there. Not everybody has millions of dollars when it pertains to NIL money. To be honest with you, it just is what it is. But just keep grinding, keep doing your thing. And like I said, there's some spot out there for you, whether if it's JUCO, D1, D2, AA, or even D3, or what I'm saying, NAIA. So just keep going and keep grinding and keep building those relationships.
Yeah, you nailed it right on the money for that Twitter machine, because a lot of people are basically posting a lot these days on social media, like under Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. And like right now, Twitter is the main one out there because a lot of players are putting their highlight film on their Twitter and going to camps per se for these colleges.
Yep.
For example, there's a kid here local that's kind of like numerous camps, but if he does go to those camps, another college can see on what he's doing at different colleges, whatnot as well.
Correct.
Go ahead.
That's what happened. That's what happened with our running back G. I mean, he went to the Memphis camp and Ole Miss saw him, and then so on and so forth. That's really how he ended up in Mississippi State that fast. And to go on what you said about highlight tapes, I didn't really mention this, but have, when it pertains to what you're saying, to a high school kid, have your best plays up front. Go ahead and catch the eyes now. It's not like what you were saying back in my day. We had to send out DVDs, so go ahead and just get them plays up there now. So go ahead and catch eyes and go from there.
All right, Alan, last question for me, and then we'll let you get out of here and get back to a lot of more important things coming on the Sports Buffet. But we appreciate you coming on today. Last question is really outside of football. It's really, who is Alan Cross? What is your why in life?
I would say to prove people wrong. Like you said, it goes back to me being a walk-on. No one ever gave me a chance when it pertained to the game of football. Everybody said too short, too slow thing. I mean, I've heard it all. But at the end of the day, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. It doesn't have a mouth. It doesn't have a brain. It's the only thing that in life, one of the only things that only tells the truth. It cannot lie. So I would say just proving people wrong in aspects of what do they see Allen as when he's not talking and nobody else is there to give their own opinion. So I would say what's my why is to try to, I ain't gonna say change the world, but obviously we know a lot of things are messed up in the world, whatever the case may be. But can somebody not necessarily change the world, but change perspective of just say like a Millington, just using that for an example, through his work ethic, through what he does and how he carries himself, regardless of what type of clothes he has on his body. So I would just say that. I mean, just always having that chip on my shoulder, regardless of where I'm at, what I'm doing. I don't care if I'm cutting grass or one day maybe the head coach of the University of Memphis. I'm still me. I'm still going to be me, and I'm still going to be Allen, regardless of how much money or whatever the case may be.
Is that a little foreshadowing there, John? I think you just kind of prophesied himself as the Memphis coach.
You never know, man. You never know. You never know.
Hey, he's done a great job wherever he's at, so he's got to do.
I was just about to say, I mean, he's got the pedigree to do it. But no, Alan Cross is doing this today, man. Alan, I appreciate you carving out just a few minutes of your day today to just talk sports and talk life, man. We really appreciate it.
Man, yes, sir. I appreciate y'all. I'm always here, bro. I'll see y'all.
Alan, last part question. That's another part that Wes just asked. What's your why? That's a good question to start that part. Because what does the city of Millington mean to you in that black and gold?
Man, I don't know. We'll see one day. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, come on.
Hey, wherever he takes me, brother, wherever the good Lord takes me, man. Wherever he takes me.
That's it. Alan Cross, man, we appreciate you coming on with us today. Hey, look, guys, go check out Alan Cross's football camp. We posted the flyer up on all of our social media. Go to our social media, click it, go to it, sign your kids up. But get out there and get work from a guy that has done it at every level, from high school to walking on to college, and then really and truly walking on in the NFL at the same time. So it's a guy that he, as he said, he gets it out of the mud, man. Alan Cross, we appreciate you, man.
Appreciate y'all. See y'all.
See you.
Man, dude, what a show. My goodness, dude. We're pushing an hour in here, and we talked to Anthony Sain. Anthony Sain was amazing. We appreciate everybody watching and listening right now as well on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're looking at about 406 people watching right now, so we appreciate everybody watching and listening. But man, Alan Cross, man, came on the sports buffet and did an amazing job. That guy's great. But John, it's time for a little dessert talk. So, John, what are your thoughts on Texas and Oklahoma officially? Today is July 1st. They are officially, we've been hearing about it for 2 years. Now they're in the conference. They're in the SEC. What do you think all the other teams, what do you think all the other athletic directors are thinking today?
Well, first of all, kudos to the SEC Network yesterday by giving out the 4-hour marathon of University of Texas joining the SEC. Down in that heat, doing all those interesting storylines. Credit to the SEC Network crew by battling that heat in those 4 hours yesterday for having that live show. University of Texas and Oklahoma joining, or I'll look at it like this. You're going to see a lot more playoff teams and maybe more regional hosts for baseball, more finalists down in Omaha, and maybe more finalists in the Women's College World Series down the road. So you're going to see Oklahoma, Texas teams compete year in, year out for that national title.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think when you look at softball, you look at baseball. Softball in particular. Oklahoma and Texas, obviously, two of the best teams in the country. Then you go college baseball, college football. They're both talented. College basketball is going to be a lot of fun. Then you throw in gymnastics into it. Oklahoma's got a really good gymnastics program. You bring in, there's There's a Oklahoma hockey team. Saw the Arkansas Hockey Club play them recently. So you're mixing in not just the quote unquote big three, but you bring in everything as an entire university of athletics. These two programs add so much to the SEC. And we talked about it a little bit earlier when we talked about the ACC. We talked about it a little bit earlier when we talked about CUSF. Realignment is here to stay. Realignment is not going anywhere, and it's going to continue to happen. I think it continue to happen, possibly even this year. We see things announced that'll take place moving forward. But John, when you look at, and we're going to get more into the SEC in the next couple of weeks, but when you look at the SEC, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's always a high level conference, always top competition there. We know during the football season they just beat each other up on the way to the conference championship game. The SEC is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year, as are all the other conferences. I mean, the Big Ten. Let's not forget, we hadn't talked about them. The Big Ten, they're coast to coast, like we mentioned earlier. It's going to be pretty interesting, man. I think this is going to be a college football season. Obviously, that's new because you got the playoff and all that, but I think this is going to be a college football season that we will remember for.
Yeah, definitely think about, the ticket prices right now on SeatGeek, whatnot. They're just going to be crazy all throughout the SEC football season. And to be honest with you, what better way to promote SeatGeek right now? Because, the SEC right now on July 1st edition of the show, just go ahead and use that $50 purchase or more coupon, which you get $20 off by just using the 4-star sports media promo code on SeatGeek right now, and go ahead and just buy your tickets right now because they can skyrocket, throughout the year because you got some interesting matchups down in Oxford, down in Starkville, down in Austin, Texas, where Georgia travels down to Austin. So go ahead and use those ticket promotion right now before they sell out.
Yeah, head on over to SeatGeek now. Go in there and create you an account. When you do, go in there and find a ticket. Any ticket, $50 or more. You type in that promo code you see on the screen now, 4-star sports media. It will give you $20 off that ticket purchase. If you don't believe us, go to the app, create an account, go find you a ticket, put the promo code in, and then when you do, you can send us a message and say, thank you. We appreciate the $20 off that ticket purchase. John's right. Get on there now. Buy your tickets. You got college football coming up. You got big games up here in Fayetteville. You got big games up there in Memphis. You got big games all around the nation. If you're traveling, hey, say you want to go to the big house and watch Michigan play somebody. Jump on SeatGeek. We'll get you taken care of on a $20 off your ticket price. But John, man, it's been a great show. I want to give a quick shout out to our guest today, Anthony Sain from Bluff City Media, joined us today. We appreciate him coming on with us as well. And then Alan Cross came on to talk all about his camp. John, we'll be back 2 more times this week. Be back tomorrow, and we'll be back on Thursday morning.
I think you meant Wednesday morning and Thursday morning.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. Tomorrow and Wednesday morning, not tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow will be on normal time, around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then Wednesday will be on probably around 9 Wednesday morning. So, but, man, it's fireworks season's here. Everyone please be safe with fireworks. Man, if you light it, run away from it. Don't stand there and watch it. Don't hold anything in your hand. Obviously, if you're under the influence of anything, be careful. If you feel different, you drive different, like they say. But if you feel different, you probably shoot fireworks different. So be careful out there, guys. Big holiday coming up, Independence Day, July 4th is right around the corner, 3 days away. But, man, fireworks safety is always important, especially this time of year. But, John, I appreciate you coming on with me, man.
Hey, I think you forgot our poll question and our
Oh. I didn't forget. All right.
I was gonna answer. Come on.
All right. So our burning question of the day, and we're going to give the answer here. Burning question of the day: how many winning seasons in the Southeastern Conference does the Mississippi State football program have in the last 24 years? John, what's your answer?
Not many.
You're right. It's only one. They've only had one winning season in the last 24 years in the Southeastern Conference, and that was in 2014 when the team would go 10-3 overall, 6-2 in SEC play, and would finish the year 7-0. They would knock off number 8 at LSU, number 6 Texas A&M, number 2 number 2 Auburn. Before their only two losses, two conference losses were number 3 Alabama, 25-20. Then they lost the Egg Bowl that year, 31-17, before dropping the bowl game, the Orange Bowl, 49-34 against Georgia Tech.
And who was the head coach at State back then?
That was Dan Mullen in 2024.
Speaking of Mississippi State, real quick, I really thought they would have more than one for some reason because don't you remember that game when they played Ole Miss where it was a top 5 matchup back in the day when it was like, I think it was a top 5 matchup when Sylvester Croom, when Dak Prescott and all them. Oh, Dak Prescott played under Urban Meyer. I apologize, but
yeah, that was yeah. Really, Dak 2014 was the only year because that was Dak. That was the year they beat. They had. That win against LSU was massive that year. That win against Auburn was massive that year. And then we would see Ole Miss do very similar things just a few years later when they would knock off Alabama at Oxford and all that. John, let's go poll question number 1, man.
Yeah.
Who will have a better first season? Jim Schlossnagle at Texas or Michael Early at Texas A&M?
Jim who?
Schlossnagle.
No, I'm saying like Jim who? Question mark.
Yeah, exactly. Personally, I think Michael Early has the better. I think Texas A&M has a better roster. Obviously, there's players that are entering the portal. I get that. But when you look, and we've got an article out about it now over 4star.live, head over there to read that article plus any other that we have. But we really broke down numbers-wise how Michael Early has affected these programs. He was the hitting coach last 3 years at Texas A&M. Prior to that, he was at Arizona State in Tempe. But when you look at the numbers of these programs, you will see why I say Michael Early. I think Michael Early does an incredible job down in College Station.
That's why I said Jim who, because I really think all those A&M players that enter the portal are rethinking of coming back to College Station because, now they got the guys they wanted, as their head coach, and all the alumni and spoke highly on them as well. And I think the alumni will rally behind Michael Early. And also I think, to be honest with you, I think the pitching for A&M is going to be back next year. I think that the batting average might not have been up to par at times for A&M. But when you got now a good coach and Early coming back to College Station, I think their batting average will be a little bit better.
Yeah. Poll question number 2 before we get out of here. Who will have a better first season as a head coach? We gave you 4 choices today. Bob Chapman from James Madison. Jeff Levy, we talked about him down at Starkville, Mississippi State. Deshaun Foster out at UCLA. And Sharon Moore from Michigan. John, who you got?
That's tough.
It is.
But
we don't have easy questions around here. We don't throw toss-ups.
But after doing no research, really, to be honest with you, because I was like, you know what, I can just flip a coin on it, really.
Yeah,
it's so tough. It's so tough. But no, I don't think. I think Michigan is going to have like a little bit of a disappointing year. It's going to be hard to tell because of what team. It's going to. I mean, yeah, you got a good replacement, in Michigan, but it's just going to be hard to tell, like, on what kind of offense they're going to have. When you lose your 2-piece offense, in McCartney and the running back Crump. But I think that Southern Cal at Michigan game is probably going to be one of the underrated games that a lot of people aren't be talking about. Also, but I think Michigan is going to be kind of a little bit of a disappointment this year because of that. So right now I'm going to go with Deshaun Foster at UCLA. I think.
Give me a surprise here, man. Give me Bob Chesney and James Madison. And when I say better year, I'm not saying I think he's going to have a really good record, a winning record. I think James Madison will go to a bowl, but I think he just continues to keep pushing that program up higher and higher and higher. Mm-hmm. You look at James Madison over a historical standpoint; they've been a talented program. I think out of these four, I think Jeff Levy has the better career at the college. The reason I say that is because I think somebody comes and gets the James Madison coach.
Right. Already.
Right. I don't think Jeff Levy, unless something catastrophic happens, I don't see Jeff Levy leaving Mississippi State for at least 4 to 5. I see him as kind of almost like a Mullen there, a guy that understands you can win in Starkville, and you can. And listen, John, you can win in Starkville, Mississippi.
Right.
You can win anywhere. There's nowhere around the country you can't win. Obviously, unless you get into the Dukes, the Vanderbilts, the Harvards, the schools with the different academic standards. But I think Levy probably has the best tenure. But I think just next year, give me Bob Chesney over at James Madison to get it done. And that's nothing against Michigan. For Michigan fans that might be watching, I'm not taking shots at you. It's nothing against UCLA. I think Deshaun Walker does a really good job there. I also think UCLA really screwed up when they didn't go get Jed Fish. The guy that's now at Washington, had they went and got him, that would have been a splash hire. But they didn't. They drug their feet. Chip Kelly screwed them, and now he's at Ohio State. And what are the odds? They play each other. UCLA and Ohio State are in the same conference. So, what are the odds? But, no, man, I think those are two really good poll questions. It's probably two of the better ones we've had, I feel like. And then the Mississippi State question is just really surprising. Really wasn't expecting that team to be that. I think there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people in Fayetteville, Arkansas that would be really surprised by that because they feel like their team is working. We know. You're not there, but
I was really thinking that Sylvester Croom had a little bit more success than I thought, to be honest with you, because I really thought he had at least 1 winning or 2 winning seasons as a head coach in the SEC, to be honest with you, at one time, because I think he did pretty well, I thought, at Mississippi State, where he had a little bit of talent. And I was just kind of surprised by that. Only one conference, like you brought up. But the reason I'm going to say UCLA just because, I brought up Deshaun Foster. I think, the returning starters on offense are still 7. I know they got some tough road games regarding travel-wise, and whatnot on their bodies because they opened the season at Hawaii. And they also travel cross-country just twice in 1 year. But Deshaun Foster, I think, is a good hire for UCLA in the long haul.
Yeah.
But, it's just going to be hard to tell, with his body for the whole Big Ten, the whole SEC, and the ACC now regarding bodies, how their fatigue might become a factor later on down the road because some of them might be on short weeks. Some of them might be on a bye week. But still, when you're traveling cross-country like this, it's going to be kind of key on your body.
100%. You have been watching and listening to the Sports Buffet, July 1st, 2024 edition, right here on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Once again, we appreciate Anthony Sain for joining us, talking Grizzlies, talking Tigers. Alan Cross doing this to talk, a multitude of topics. And John Sturgeon has joined us as well to bring great insight as always. We will be back tomorrow. Once again, for John Sturgeon, I am Wes Pruitt. We thank everybody watching and listening. And as always, just stay classy, folks.